Is low, but it's not zero.
Baked Texas. As relentless heat continues, first responders look for new ways to stay cool.
Here in West Texas, we have 2 seasons, summer and January.
Lightning safety, what you need to know to stay safe.
Lightning can happen at any time of the day, so don't be fooled by a blue sky.
Frequent flooding. A new study says those 100-year floods aren't so rare anymore.
All underestimating the current risk of extreme events.
And some tips to keep those deer out of your garden.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. At least one person is dead and another injured after tornadoes tore through parts of Indianapolis. You can see it here. This one just south of Indianapolis was caught on tape, and you can clearly see all the debris there just spinning around. The fire chief says 75 homes have moderate to severe damage, but remarkably no major injuries. That one death, though, happened in Martin County. The EMA director says a tree fell on a home, killing one person inside and also injuring another person. Kentucky also saw storms last night. This is in the town of Richmond, about 25 miles south of Lexington. There are reports, though, of baseball-sized hail and winds up to 70 miles an hour. Those winds damaged the metal fencing at Eastern Kentucky University Stadium. Nearly 100,000 homes and businesses are without power this morning in Kentucky. You can hear it and see it there. That's what it looked like driving through that storm system in Arkansas. Viewers sent pictures and videos to our station in Little Rock showing widespread damage, including trees and wires blown down by the winds. There are no reported injuries. In fact, nearly 500,000 customers are without power in just 6 states. That's according to the poweroutage.us. The hardest hit states this morning are in Tennessee and Arkansas, and the threat for severe weather continues today, but in different parts of the country. Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff is tracking those threats for us right now. Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, good morning, Angela. Let's talk about it. I want to show you this map here in these areas shaded in yellow and orange where we're putting our focus. Those are enhanced and slight risk. The darker orange color here, that is an enhanced level 3 out of 5 risk, and it encompasses big cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, D.C., Philly, and then New York is in the slight risk, as well as portions of Columbia and portions off to the Shenandoah Valley, western areas along the mountains. Here's the situation today. We're looking at a threat late afternoon, early evening. The biggest concern today we have are damaging winds. That is the greatest threat here. 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Large hail, a possibility within this section as well. Tornado threat is there, but it's not widespread. We're also looking at the potential for some flooding. There's a slight risk of flooding across that 95 corridor through the evening. Stay weather aware.
All right. Thanks, Brian. And with so many people at risk of severe storms, let's take a look at ways you can protect yourself from the risks of lightning. Here's meteorologist Jennifer Collins.
25 million. That's approximately how many lightning strikes there are each year across the United States. And while lightning is fascinating to watch, it can also be extremely dangerous. The odds of being struck by lightning each year in the United States is about 1 in 1.5 million. But the National Weather Service says that on average, 300 people are struck by lightning each year, while 30 are killed and others suffer lifelong disabilities. Sadly, this year, 5 people have been struck by and killed by lightning in Texas, Pennsylvania, and even Florida. The National Lightning Safety Council says that almost 2/3 of lightning-related deaths occur to people who have just been enjoying outdoor leisure activities. Now, storms that produce lightning are most common in the afternoon, but lightning can happen at any time of the day, so don't be fooled by a blue sky. Lightning can strike as far away as 12 miles from a storm, which is why if you hear thunder, you are in danger. There are ways to minimize your personal risk of being struck by lightning. If storms are nearby, avoid open areas, isolated trees, towers, or utility poles, as lightning tends to strike taller objects. Have a lightning safety plan. Know where you'll go for safety and make sure you have enough time to get there. A building or hard metal top vehicle are good options. Then stay there for at least 30 minutes away from doors and windows, and avoid using plugged-in electronic devices and taking a shower during a thunderstorm, as the electrical current can travel through metal plumbing.
Scorching heat is showing no signs of letting up in Texas this week. Temps in the triple digits for at least the next week in Austin. Millions of people are under heat alerts. The heat index near 125 degrees in some areas. That's the combination of temperature and also humidity. Reporter Tyler Green looks into how first responders are staying cool in Texas while also keeping folks safe.
So here in West Texas, we have two seasons, summer and January. And here we are in the midst of summer. And, you call 911 and we'll be there. It doesn't matter how hot or how cold.
When those firefighters show up, they're wearing 75 to 100 pounds of gear that's designed to keep them safe. But that same gear can make their body temperature rise quickly. And so Morgan told us how they're making sure that every firefighter stays cool while on duty.
Inside that bunker gear, our core temperature can get severely elevated if we're not paying attention. And so what we try to do is minimize our time inside the structure, inside the environment where it's superheated, and come out, have R&R, and that's where my role comes in. We set up R&R for the guys. We've got a cooler full of water, electrolytes. We've even got towels in there that you can dip in the ice cold water, put it on your head, because that's where a lot of your heat's going to escape, is through your head.
AFD recently reinstated their field resource medic who's in charge of taking care of his fellow first responders. And Morgan tells us how important that role is and that it takes a team to stay safe in this heat.
R&R is extremely important. You can't be a hero. You can't take this on by yourself. We got to play as a team, so that means us stepping up, taking care of each other, and realizing that, hey, I need to step back and take a break.
And despite the extreme temperatures that come with West Texas summers, Morgan said that the Abilene Fire Department will always show up for the people of the Key City.
And as temperatures climb, so do the dangers, and not just for emergency responders. Your car can turn into a deadly weapon, becoming an oven in minutes after being parked. Mike Caleb explains that excessive heat should be a stark reminder to all to check your back seat before getting out of that car.
The only way I'd leave the kids in the car and not bring them in with me is if I leave the car running, and I'll bring a spare set of keys so I can lock the car.
There are devices and reminders to help parents remember to check the back seat. But
as a parent, I'd forget the shoe before I forgot my kids.
Captain Crystal Holmes with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says if you do need a reminder,
put your purse back there, put your wallet back there, put your briefcase back there, something that you know that you will reach for when you get out of the car.
She says most cases of kids left in a car are not intentional.
Oftentimes it may be one parent that never takes that child, and they are not familiar with them being in the back of the car. They're driving to work, they're on the phone, they're dealing with traffic.
There's a big difference in the temperature inside a car compared to the outside.
When you have a temperature outside of, say, 100 degrees, it could be 30 or 40 degrees higher in your car.
Cracking windows is not an effective solution.
Cracking the windows in a vehicle, particularly in this heat, is not going to help. If somebody is in a vehicle for a long period of time, they are going to begin exhibiting the symptoms of distress.
Important reminders to keep your precious cargo safe and get them out of the car during the summer heat.
And here's a reminder to always keep an eye on your surroundings. Look at this, a confrontation between a fisherman and an alligator in South Carolina, all caught on camera. You can see it there. The video was taken Hilton Head. The man is walking away from the water when the alligator starts kind of charging at him. You can see him crawling out. The gator chased the man towards the paved road. The man started running. The alligator eventually returned to the pond. No other encounters were actually reported. And also, if you're someone who likes to plan trips ahead of time, this is for you. Stargazers are preparing for a big event in 2024. A total solar eclipse will pass over Mexico, the United States, and Canada on April 8th of next year. But fans are already booking hotel rooms now just to get a glimpse, or the best glimpse. The pass will be about 115 miles wide across 13 states and eastern Canada. Next year's total solar eclipse will be the last time Americans will be able to easily see such an event until August of 2044. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll talk with an expert about ways you can protect your summer gardens from deer and other wildlife. And there's a new gold rush taking place. We'll take you to where it's happening next.
Well, upper level low pressure is going to continue to bring showers, thunderstorms, downpours throughout the entire Northeast as we head through the day on Monday. You can see around 12:30 in the afternoon, we have showers up to the north, all across New York and Connecticut. They will be scattered about across the state and again, all throughout the Northeast. Temperatures on Monday are going to be on the cool side up towards the north in the 60s. But notice as you head to the south and west, we're looking at 80s for some areas.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. A very active day coming from Monday as a disturbance rolls into some very hot and humid air. By lunchtime, not a whole lot, but notice what happens during the afternoon. Maybe some widespread severe weather up and down the 95 corridor as our latest weather maker moves in and then moves to the Delmarva as we head into the evening. A hot day until all that happens. Around 92 in Baltimore, 92 at Richmond. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Venus Readers. Look at your southeast forecast highs. It looks like it's going to be a hot one out there for this Monday. 91 degrees in Nashville, 93 Birmingham, 90 in Atlanta, 91 Macon, 94 Tampa, 93 Raleigh, Charleston, about 91 degrees. Heat index will be in the low 100s in some areas. We do have high pressure across the area, allowing for us to stay nice and clear for many areas, especially around Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. But at late day, we could get some gusty thunderstorms across North Carolina and South Carolina.
The National Weather Desk.
First Street Foundation has been doing extensive research into climate modeling and finding ways to make climate risk factors available to all. They just released a report today on their new precipitation model. Emily Gracie sat down with one of their scientists to find out what sets this new research apart from NOAA's current model for flood risk.
The model really takes into account an approach to understand what's called the intensity, the duration, and the frequency of precipitation events, or the metrics that go into us understanding how extreme a rainfall event is. And for years we've been using, and we still do, use what's called NOAA Atlas 14. And NOAA Atlas 14 is, at this point, the authoritative tool for understanding precipitation estimates. The thing is, NOAA just received a funding to update the Atlas 14 records because there are known flaws. In those estimates are things like the use of median metrics to understand precipitation over time. So if you revert to the mean, you end up ultimately not taking into account the extreme events that actually cause the flooding that we're primarily most concerned with.
Did you find anything surprising, say geographically, with this model in certain parts of the country versus others?
We're seeing the areas that have seen the biggest increases in extreme precipitation events have the biggest discrepancies between NOAA Atlas 14 and their actual risk. The biggest area where we saw that were in the Midwest and the Northeastern seaboard. Areas from Baltimore all the way up to Boston see huge amounts of underestimation of their actual storm risk. And these are places that have a tremendous amount of infrastructure to manage stormwater. You have some of the biggest population centers, some of the most sophisticated stormwater management, all underestimating the current risk of extreme events.
How can people educate themselves about their flood risk?
So we've created a tool called riskfactor.com. You can type in their address. And at this point, we have a flood model, a fire model, a wind model, and a heat model. And for all of those, we have metrics around your personal risk at your property. Every individual can claim their own property for free on there. So you can go on, the data is available. It's publicly available to any individual for their own property.
And we reached out to NOAA for comment. While they told us they do not comment on other organizations' research or products, they did send us a statement. NOAA wrote regarding calling the Atlas process the authoritative and national standard. The Atlas methodology undergoes a rigorous peer review process and employs board stakeholder engagement to ensure that those who use Atlas are involved in producing it and are confident in the outcomes. There's the statement. And Montana has a variety of wildlife, but folks can find themselves in some trouble because their garden can attract animals. If you're that person, Michael Santos-Coy spoke to a Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks official who has some tips to keep your wildlife out of your garden.
The most effective thing to do is to put up an exclusionary fence, and that would have to be, if you're looking at something like deer, typically you're talking about an 8-foot fence that they're not able to get through.
Another great way to keep wildlife out of your garden is animal repellent.
The price for animal repellent can vary from $20 to over $100. And to construct an 8-foot picket fence, the average costs between $20 to $40 per linear foot. Wakeling believes it's worth every penny to prevent wildlife going into your garden.
The wildlife are part of the landscape that we live in, and so if we choose to grow something that they like, it's extremely difficult to keep them out of our yards unless we do something to exclude them. What we can do is provide you technical information, technical approaches, how you can address these challenges for yourself.
And when you think of gold booms, maybe California's gold rush of the mid-19th century comes to mind. That rush has long gone bust. But did you know there's a present-day search for gold in western North Carolina? Ryan Coulter takes us to Rutherford County, a place where people have been finding this precious metal since the 1800s.
It's a great hobby. You enjoy the outdoor a lot here.
Donnie Hughes says he's been searching for gold in this Rutherford County dirt for more than 15 years.
The gold, I do find some. I've never went home without any.
Today, he is sifting through this pile of dirt from the old riverbed of the Second Broad River.
This is classified. We'll take this to the water, just like riding a bicycle. Shake it a little, pull it back down. And you do it, rinse the top off.
If there's gold, it will sink to the bottom of the pan, and the ridges on the edge will catch it on the way out.
Have patience with it.
The age-old saying is, gold is where you find it until someone asks you where you found it, and then it was over there and not over there.
James Langford runs Thermal City Gold Mine along the Rutherford and McDowell County line. It's said to be an area once the site of the first U.S. gold rush.
Right around the 1830s, there was about 2,000 or 3,000 workers that worked the valleys just past my property line. There's actually been pretty good gold that's been found in Rutherford County.
The source for this flaky gold?
There's 32 veins that start just a couple miles down the road, and from what I've been told, there's 7 gold veins that cross this river.
Today, anyone looking for a golden opportunity can come and try their hand at prospecting.
You can pan, sluice, or dredge out of the river, and of course, anything you find is yours.
As for Donnie Hughes, his patience finally pays off.
There it is.
But if you're hoping to strike it rich, he says, not so fast. His find?
Maybe 10 cents.
Now the summer is here, you might be looking for a serene getaway. You may love the mountains but hate the idea of spending the night in a tent. Karen Wynn gives us a glimpse into glamping, which is basically the best of both worlds, rustic glamour.
When we were just opening, somebody on Facebook before our name was out yet commented that it looks like some UFOs have landed on Crabtree Mountain.
Matt Baer, owner of the Glamping Collective, says he wishes it was that easy. The Charleston resident says the Glamping Collective, which opened on Labor Day weekend of last year, is a decade-long dream come true. It began when Bear and his wife vacationed in Costa Rica 10 years ago.
And stayed at what today we would call a glamping resort. Back then it was just a resort in the mountains of Costa Rica. And I said, man, this would be so amazing to do in Asheville.
Right now, there are 20 accommodations on 160 acres in Haywood County, including a combination of geodomes and glass cabins. We took a peek inside Geodome number 13. It's handicapped accessible with an outdoor fireplace and hot tub. Inside, the bed, bath, and kitchen area rival those of any luxury hotel. It's a perfect combination for visitors Hannah and Jonathan Nagatu, newlyweds from Charlotte.
We wanted a place where it was quiet, closer to nature as much as possible, but then yet we also, weren't too interested in staying in a, normal tent.
We also checked out one of the glass cabins, smaller than Geodome 13, but also elegant with spectacular mountaintop views.
Like it is just the absolute luxury experience, but dropped on the top of a mountain.
And a reminder to check out our podcast, Off the Radar. New episodes drop every Tuesday. You can find Off the Radar anywhere you get your podcasts. We'll be right back.
Happy Monday. I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. High pressure system building to the west, but still dealing with that chance for rain showers for places like Indiana and Ohio as we deal with that low pressure system and cold front passing through the Midwest. And then for your Tuesday, eventually that high pressure system building in for the rest of the area, though still hanging on some showers there in Columbus. And then for your Wednesday, some more sunshine, but our next weather maker's on the way.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region, and the heat continues to be the main headline. Heat advisory in orange, excessive heat warnings for everybody shaded in purple. So we're talking heat index values 105 to upwards of 120, where we do see that excessive heat warning. So we'll start off with a few thunderstorms northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas. Otherwise, just mostly sunny, and the heat's going to be the big story. 90s to low 100s across the region on your Monday.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We have temperatures right at normal for the Pacific Northwest, but heat advisories and excessive heat warnings for much of the southern portions of Arizona into New Mexico, where a stationary front is causing some thunderstorms to billow up in the afternoon. For the West, in the mountains especially, we've got thunderstorms bringing in rapid flood potential. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
We turn to Northern California and Butte County, where burn permits are being suspended starting today. CAL FIRE Butte County spokesperson Rick Carhart says they're satisfied with that decision, especially since temperatures are expected to soar past 100 degrees later this week.
The conditions look like they're really going to be getting hotter, and so we're pretty happy with the decision that we made to suspend burning, because by the following weekend it's going to be well over 100 degrees, and it's just too hot and dry. We've already had quite a few escape control burns, and so as the conditions get hotter, drier, those just increase, and it's not worth the risk.
Highs this week are starting out around 90 degrees by the week's end. The high will be around 108 degrees. To top things off, the forecast says there's no chance of rain on those days. Now we're pausing for a short break, but first a view of the Chocolate Hills. Look at that on the Philippine Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how the summer heat could impact your next flight. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Monday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.